This video will discuss how to use custom correlations in CoilDesigner. This video assumes that these custom correlations have already been created and are ready to be utilized in the CoilDesigner software. For information on how to create these custom correlations, please refer to either the CoilDesigner help file, support@optimizedthermalsystems.com, or further videos detailing the creation of custom correlations. As with any other type of correlation, custom correlations may either be more general to different heat exchanger types or only applicable to specific types. The sample correlation in this video is valid for microchannel heat exchangers. If you are following along with the video, please feel free to select any heat exchanger type that is valid for your own custom correlation. For this video, we will leave all of the default numerical values, units, and other selections in the CoilDesigner wizard. These selections will not be relevant for anything presented in this video. The CoilDesigner wizard has this screen where all of the correlations for your coil are selected. You can select both heat transfer correlations and pressure drop correlations for the air side and all the different phase permutations of the refrigerant side. The only restriction is that within the wizard, you may only select from the built-in correlations within the CoilDesigner software. The correlations available in this screen are only the ones that are valid for your selected heat exchanger type. In order to select a custom correlation, you first need to complete the wizard, and then, once your coil has been created, you may select options to input custom correlations. Once we have completed the wizard and our coil has been created, there are two ways to navigate to the menu where we can select to have custom correlations. The first is on the far right of the screen under the Common Tasks heading, the Edit Parameters hyperlink. This brings us to a menu which has, on its left side, a list of folders that mimic the order of the CoilDesigner wizard. Unlike the wizard, however, these folders have separate screens for heat transfer correlations and pressure drop correlations, instead of having one unified screen for all of them like on the wizard. Although you must go in and select these separately, the process for their selection is exactly the same for the pressure drop and the heat transfer. And both screens, like on the wizard, give you the option to select individual correlations for all the different phase permutations on the air side and refrigerant side. The other way to navigate to this menu is to go to the Projects tab and select Edit Parameters. This will bring you right back to the same menu. In this menu, each individual correlation selection has three components. First is the box where the selected correlation's name appears. Below that is the option for a correction factor. These correction factors are numerical values. The default for all of the built-in correlations is 1, and if your custom correlation requires a different correction factor, you can simply enter your numerical value of choice. The other important feature is this small box with the 3 dots. Mousing over it reveals that here is where you click to select or edit the individual correlation that you are dealing with. If your custom correlation is valid for a number of different heat transfer and/or pressure drop correlation scenarios, you may repeat this process as many times as needed to apply your custom correlation to each of the different correlation boxes presented in CoilDesigner. Once you click these 3 dots, it brings you to the Select Correlation menu. The first thing to notice is that at the bottom of this menu is also an option to update your correction factor. You may update the correction factor either in this menu or in the General Edit Parameters menu that we were on a moment before. As for the correlation types, there are 4 presented total. The first are the built-in correlations that are already present in CoilDesigner. This is the same drop-down menu as the CoilDesigner wizard and is where you would go to modify a correlation. The second option is a fixed value. For some scenarios, it may be appropriate for your heat transfer or pressure drop correlation to be a fixed numerical value. If that is the case, you may enter it in the box and then select whether it is expressed in SI units or English units. The third correlation option is an external correlation. These external correlations are implemented in user-specific libraries. They must be in the file format of DLL. To apply these external custom correlations, press Browse and navigate on your device to where you have stored your DLL correlation. Open the file, and its file path will appear in this menu. If your custom correlation requires user parameters for the integer and floating point to be passed to the correlation, you may enter these here in CoilDesigner. Otherwise, you may leave the default values of 1. To select this correlation, press OK, and it will take you back to the Edit Microchannel Parameters menu. As you can see, now that we have selected an external correlation, the selected correlation box will display our choice. To apply the correlation to the coil, press OK to leave the menu. The final correlation option is a user polynomial correlation. Selecting this means you are selecting a specific correlation that is in a power series format. These correlations are unique in that, although they are custom correlations, they can only be created within the CoilDesigner software. For more information on creating these correlations, please see the CoilDesigner help file or the video about creating custom correlations. If you have already created one of these correlations, press the Load Show Correlation button. It will bring you to a screen where the bottom part of the screen is all grayed out. Once you load your selected correlation, this part of the screen will fill with all of the information about your correlation. For more details about this screen, please see the CoilDesigner help file or the custom correlation creation video. To load the correlation file, press Browse. As mentioned before, the power series correlations must be in the specific file format of CoilDesigner correlations, because they were all created within the CoilDesigner software. If you have one of these correlations on your device, you may open it. Once you've opened it, the Available Correlations drop-down menu will light up. If your correlation has multiple correlation options saved within it, you will see multiple options in this drop-down menu for types of correlations and will select the applicable one. In this example, I only created one sample correlation, so that is the only one available. As you can see, this grayed out area is now filled in with information about the correlation name, its units, and the specific coefficient and exponent that I selected for this correlation. It also contains the correlation format, which, if you are confused about what the correlation means, should help explain. If you are satisfied with this correlation, press Select, then press OK, and as you can see, your selected correlation has changed, and to apply it to your coil, press OK again. For more information, either about applying these custom correlations or creating them, please check the CoilDesigner help file or contact support@optimizedthermalsystems.com.